Hey there folks, Joe D'Angelo's here with an update video of sorts plus a summer movie roundup video, I guess? I don't know. But in any case, Silent Film Saturday is on hiatus for the time being. I have a friend who's expressed interest in kind of, you know, polishing Silent Film Saturday for the next couple episodes, i.e. not just Joey putting a tripod up and recording himself and doing random ramblings. So there's that. I'll talk about that more in the future, but for now, I'm going to give you guys a couple movie reviews because I haven't given you guys any movie reviews since Terminator Genisys. I might have to record this in split parts, and some of the movies I haven't seen in a while, so my memory on them is foggy, but I will get to them eventually because a couple movies I've seen this summer are really excellent, i.e. Inside Out, and some of them were just god-awful, like the one I'm probably going to end up just talking about for the duration of this video, Fan4Stick, the latest film, or latest superhero film, major superhero film anyway. It's actually from 20th Century Fox, even though the characters are based on the Marvel superheroes of the same name. Quick history in the Fantastic Four movies as a franchise. Obviously, they're based off of the 60s comics, often known as Marvel's first family, right? So with these characters, they're kind of cheesy, I guess you could say. I think a lot of people kind of look at them. I almost see them as like the Superman of Marvel, in the sense that I think kids will look at them and say, "Oh, that's my grandpa's superhero." So because when you look at Fantastic Four, it's just kind of weird. I mean, a lot of this stuff is weird, but I guess people don't like cheese and they mistake cheese for being bad. So that's that. And we've had 4 Fantastic Four movies thus far. We've had the Roger Corman film from '94, which I've seen the movie. I have a copy of it. Or rather, I have, my friend let me use their copy of it. And what did I mean? This movie is just it's bad, but it's bad in the sense that it's actually fun to watch and amusing. Plus, it's actually one of the more Fantastic Four accurate to the comics movies. Which the newer films from the 2000s, mid 2000s, I think Rise of the Silver Surfer is pretty bad, but I'd say that first Fantastic Four movie is still kind of watchable, especially when you compare it to the standards that have been set by Fan4Stick. It's now set a new franchise low, making the Fantastic Four one of the franchises in history where all of the films are terrible. Now you could say that about Twilight and some other franchises, but it's kind of sad with Fantastic Four because I really feel like there's potential for Fantastic Four on the big screen, but many would disagree with me. So what's the basic premise? Well, you got 4 guys, actually 5 people. You have 5 people, and they gain powers because this inventor, Reed, played by Miles Teller, finds a way to transport matter to this other planet or dimension or whatever. I think they call it a planet in the movie. I don't really care. And basically, they go to this planet, except for their female lead, Sue Storm, played by Kate Mara. And basically, the 4 of them one of them is left behind, i.e. Dr. Doom, played by Toby Kebbell, and the other 3 members get their powers, or get into a freak accident, and then Sue just gets her powers from basically a giant force push that is caused almost like a force kickback caused by the teleportation machine returning back to Earth. And basically for most of the movie it's just them sitting around exposition, and basically most of the movie is a first act. And then they get their powers, and another good chunk of the movie is spent on the government wanting the Fantastic Four to be used as weapons. And then you get Dr. Doom returning from the alternate planet, and Dr. Doom wants to kill everybody, destroy the Earth, and basically have this new planet as his new home. Alright, so now you're probably wondering, does this movie deserve the, 9 or less than 10% it has on Rotten Tomatoes? My answer, yes. Reason being, okay, let me just start by saying that the first act of the film isn't completely without merit. I like Miles Teller in the first act; he's fine. Michael B. Jordan is fine. I feel Kate Mara is she's bland and she just doesn't fit this role. I mean, I guess in the movie she's kind of shy too, but it just doesn't work for the movie in my opinion. It makes her character kind of weak. Jamie Bell is all right in the beginning, but he doesn't really have a lot of the personality that The Thing is so famous for having. And then Toby Kebbell's Doctor Doom is probably one of the worst things ever, but I'll get to that later. But the first act wasn't terrible. It's setting up Reed's like this scientist, is boy genius, but everybody's kind of doubting him. It's like, okay, fine, I can get behind that in a movie. But you watch the movie and you realize all the different like tonal shifts and like certain scenes begin and end, and they don't feel like they're beginning and ending properly. And that's when you realize this film had reshoots, which it did have many reshoots because there were apparently a lot of on-set problems, which, like, as they say, truth is stranger than fiction sometimes with this. I'm not going to talk about many of these problems, but apparently one of the key problems I want to highlight is that there were 3 set pieces that the studio promised Josh Trank for this movie, and all 3 of those set pieces were removed. In addition, this movie had to use so many extensive reshoots that they had to take the budget which normally would have been used for the 3D conversion, and thankfully nobody had to pay extra to see this movie in 3D. I can't imagine anybody paying to see this movie at all. I was able to get in for like less than $2 with my brother because we're Stubbs membership, but I can't imagine paying. It's terrible that this movie, we did pay money for this, and I guess we're asking for it in one sense, but at the same time, there was some hope with this movie. I feel a little bit. I had some hope, and then the reviews started pouring in, and the on-set stories, and you truly realize how much of a train wreck this was. But anyway, back to what makes this movie terrible, and like really. Basically, you want to know why they go out on the teleport machine anyway? Well, initially the government was going to send its military guys to go into that dimension, but Doctor Doom, or Toby Kebbell's Doctor Doom, is all like, the 3 guys get drunk. Sue doesn't get involved in this. Sue is not part of the planning process in this at all. Like, she's the one trying to say, oh crap, I got to get these guys back. Basically, the guys get drunk and they're like, oh man, we want to do it for the glory and be in the history books, essentially. So they're basically a bunch of assholes, and they basically drag Ben along because for some reason you just need Ben there to go to this other dimension. I mean, they explain it, but it's like you don't see Ben for a good chunk of the movie, then he just kind of returns to go into the teleportation machine. They go in, get their powers, and literally there's a scene in the movie where Reed's crawling around with his new stretched powers, and he sees the Thing stuck in this rock, basey rock form, and the Thing's just screaming for his friend, but his friend hears an alarm and literally runs off like a total wuss for a year in like Central America or South America or some nonsense. I don't really care at this point because it was so stupid that was even in a movie, and they literally have the title card like 1 year later, and I'm like, come on guys, this isn't the beginning of the movie. This is literally like halfway through the movie. Literally halfway. This is like more than halfway through the movie. I remember my friend was watching this, and he's just like, he was messaging me. He's like, "Mate, Joey, this movie's like halfway over, and they haven't done anything yet, man. That's one of the big problems. It's a superhero team movie, but they don't do anything as a team. You don't really see them as a team together, actually, until the very end of the film, which is a key problem in a superhero team-up movie. Now, the body horror aspect of this movie, which a lot of the producers kind of played up as like a Cronenberg style horror movie akin to like Scanners or The Fly, which I totally got a Scanners vibe from this, especially Doctor Doom's character. But it's kind of meshed up with characters I don't find particularly interesting, and all the distracting reshoots and just the bad dialogue, the forced humor, it just doesn't work. And then, similar to Man of Steel, where Man of Steel had a really somber, really super somber tone, and had an ending that, to me at least, really was not fitting of the movie. I mean, literally the way Man of Steel ends is like after Superman saves the day, but through a lot of destruction. They don't really harp on any of the destruction for very long anyway. It's literally just, oh, he's going off to the Daily Planet. Haha. Oh, we're all smiles, Clark. We're all smiles. Whereas this is basically the same damn thing. Except I liked Man of Steel a little more than this, surprisingly enough, which is terrible when it's coming from somebody like me who hates Man of Steel. Uh, this, basically, at the end of the movie, they go to the Baxter building, and they're about to say Fantastic Four, and the credits cut. Now, I'm probably saying a lot of spoilers, and the reason being is you should not see this movie. You really shouldn't. I don't care if anybody says, you know what, it's not that bad. No, it's pretty bad. It's not worth your time. I wouldn't recommend this to kids because not only is it boring, but some of the body horror effects are kind of gruesome. None of the characters are really particularly likable or at all interesting. This movie appeals to no one except for quite literally hipsters. If you're a hipster, you'll probably like this movie because, hey, nobody else likes it. So those are my thoughts on Fantastic Four. Probably the weakest film I've seen this year. Probably the second weakest would be Terminator Genisys, but even then, that wasn't as bad as this train wreck. Alright, so hopefully I'll have another review recorded by sometime tonight or tomorrow. Hopefully a couple more will be up on the channel as the weeks progress. I'll check you guys out later.